Um, Next unit in Engineering 2 actually works out fairly well to be on your own. The next unit we're moving into is isometric drawings and AutoCAD. Now, I'm hoping you have your laptops with you, and ideally access to a printer, but even if you don't have a printer, you should be able to sort of sketch it online, just on the PDF, hopefully. If you can't figure out a way, I'll come up with some creative solutions for you. Just let me know in the WeChat group. I'll send you the link to the WeChat group again in an email in just a few minutes after I finish this video. So isometric sketches, just a little bit about those real quick. Orthographic projections are officially the term for it. Ortho, Greek word meaning perpendicular. And what you're doing is taking a three-dimensional object and showing perpendicular views of it from the top, the front, and the right-hand side. So if you can imagine this object right here as being a sort of a three-dimensional object, this could be its top view if you're looking down from up above, looking down this way. And the front view is if you were looking at it straight on this way. It's kind of hard to visualize. And the right view is if you were looking at it from the right-hand side, sort of over somewhere like this. And the different views you would see. And they'll make more sense when we look at some simpler objects than this one. So what you're basically doing is this. So imagine you've got your three-dimensional object inside of a transparent box. And if you somehow extended it upward, so your top view would just be looking down here from above, you would see these two faces, and it would just look like that. From the right view, from the front view, you would see this side right here, sorry. And the side view, if you looked from this edge, you would just see these two pieces like this. Believe it or not, just from these three images, the top view, the front view, and the side view, you can pretty much get an idea of what the object looks like, assuming that there's no strange indentations on the back side or the other side back over here. You could reconstruct the object just from those three views. So if you can imagine now our box, if you sort of took this lid and folded it up this way, and the side view and folded out this way, these are the three sort of standard views that we sort of see in the same plane in space. So we're taking that three-dimensional object and unfolding our box a bit. So when the glass cube's unfolded, you get the front view, the top view, and the right view with depth and height. When you unfold these, it should actually line up. So this edge should line up with this edge should line up with this edge should line up with this, and when you work across the side here, this edge should line up with that edge, this with this edge, and this with that seam. Here it's not quite right. This object should be moved over a little bit, and this one's floating in midair. It should be moved down a little bit. So orthographic projections or views should be lined up even when you project them across like this. So, hidden lines, you only draw the things which would be visible. So, from the top view, you would just see dink, a dink, a dink. You'd see this part right here. From the left, notice the dashed lines right here. If you were looking at it from the back side over this direction, you would just see a solid object that would look just like this. You do not have to draw these hidden lines at all. From the right side, you would actually see these little barriers here if you're looking at it from this side, and so you should draw the lines in here. From the bottom, again, if you're looking somehow from down here, it would just look like a solid object here. If you want to, you could put in hidden lines from dashes. Those represent these boundaries right here looking from the bottom, but you don't have to necessarily. Isometric means equal measure. So what we're trying to do is draw a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional surface. And to do that, we're going to be actually looking at the cube from a very particular angle. An angle where we're looking at it so that each of these angles ends up being 120 degrees. And so we're looking at the cube directly as if our eyes were right above this corner. And so you actually can see both the top face, the front face, and the right face. And you can represent then those lines. It's almost as if you're looking at it with a clock face where the hands are at 2, 10, and 6, exactly that far apart. So typically what we do here with this is we draw a box around it to maintain proportionality. So you'll notice that even though this object ends right here, we extend out the box over here so we can sort of see how it lines up here with the rest of it. And this works really well for complex objects where you've got circular chunks chucked in here, both here at the bottom and at the top, and little pieces chunked out of here. And rounded corners down here, so you can see that they're actually rounded. You extend this face out, and you extend that curve around there. You'll see when we're working with sketching here in just a moment how this works. So a good sketch, if you're using isometric drawing, should have every single block where every angle here should be 120 degrees when you look at it from this corner. This is a really bad sketch. Why? These angles are no longer the same. And everything, if you notice, sort of looks cockeyed. Everything up here should be 90 degrees in real life, or 120 degrees here, and you can see that these two angles are definitely not the same. This is, bad isometric drawings. So we're going to use the next couple examples to do some really simple isometric drawings. And these are going to be in the packet as well. So first step, outline the box within the isometric view will occur using points and construction lines. So if we're going to try to construct that object over there, first thing we're going to do is take our pencil and say, all right, it's going to be this tall. If you can see here, we've got marks here, 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 and here to represent the total height and width of this thing. Now notice there's 3 boxes here. I'm using 1.5 boxes here, and realize it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tall here. I'm just going to use 3 lines here to represent that 6. So I'm going to divide these basically into halves. Next step, draw my lines there. And now how long is this thing? Well, if you work it out real quick, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 boxes this way, which corresponds in my drawing to 6 of these lines. So going back 6 and now working our way back up again, we're basically constructing this cube where this object will fit in. Next step. I probably should have done next step. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 lines up here. So I'd correspond that to 1, 2, 3 here. So this is where the top of my object ends. So this would mark this part right here. And then I know that there's 3 blocks working up here. So that would be 1.5 and 1.5 lines here. And that's a little bit hard to see. It would be right there. And this would represent the front edge of my object. Now again, I'm freehanding this just like you're going to be freehanding it. Ideally, we'd have rulers, but I realize that unless you can print out this packet, you're going to have to sort of hand draw it the way I'm drawing it right here. Here's our top of our object. And now from here, we connect downward. Got it? Please again, excuse my really rudimentary drawings, but hopefully you can kind of see the shape. Once you have that, oh, actually, I'm going to put it in here. Sorry. We construct those lines, draw our lines down, and trace out the visible edges with dark lines. It's sort of what we had before, but a much better drawing. And then finally, a little bit of shading is also a good idea. So you can actually figure out the overall dimensions. Oh, sorry, I should go back here. Once you have object lines here, basically you've got it. You can also shade it if you want. So what about this object? First of all, creating the box. take a look at it. Okay, this is actually, if you think about if you explode it, it's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. And it's 3 units wide, 2 units tall, and 2 units deep. We're talking about width going in this direction right here. So creating our construction lines, first of all, there it's 2 by 2, and then going back 3. There's our outline box. And now we're going to do the construction points. So if you think about it, those 2 blocks up are stacked up on top go there. Then that 1 block on the side goes there. The 1 block in the front goes there. And it becomes a little noisy. Trace out the visible edges just to make it a little bit easier. So there's our visible edges. And then using our construction lines to make the rest of it. And I hope it's got the rest of it in. And then you're going to trace the remaining visible pieces. And voila, there is our object. Now, one last step you can actually do on this one is actually do a little bit of shading. And I think I've got this in the PowerPoint. Decide where the light source is coming from, and you can shade it by crosshatch, or if you're using a stylus like I am, or a pencil, you can just go ahead and do some color fills. So look at this one down here. You notice we're going to see the light's coming sort of from the top front. And so the top edges are very light, the front edges are a little bit darker, and the sides facing over in this way are the darkest. And so you can do a little bit of cross thatching on this one, leaving the top light, and then making those sides even darker. And it really does give it a nice three-dimensional feel if you can sort of do that. I realize it's going to be a little bit more challenging tonight, but give it a shot. So in your packet, you've got some starting ones that look something like this, and I sort of want to do just a couple with you. So they've actually started the drawings for you. So you'll notice here for point C, it's right here. They've already drawn this in, so you can complete that. And you'll notice that it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units back. So now working our way back, 1, 2, 3, 4 units back. Here's point B to A, and I'll just label it so it's a little bit easier to follow. So here's our top surface. And I'm going to try my best to draw this straight. And I realize it's going to be a little bit challenging, especially if you're doing this with your finger. And now once we have that, you can sort of say, okay, they gave us point D. That's nice. Over to here. Whoops. Over to here. And now over here, we're good too. We can draw this in here, this in here, this in here. And then it goes back 1, 2 spaces. So 1, 2 goes down there, and then it extends 1 down this way, corresponding to the 1 down there, and then across here. And now we've got this shape done. Now, over here, there's another piece, this piece down here, which I'm just going to sketch in real quick because they gave us a lot of the lines already. And this goes down to here. You can actually do the counting over there, or I'm just going to kind of know already what this thing looks like. Excuse my really loud sketching noises. And now, how in the world do we draw the circle? Well, if you know the circle, it goes halfway down here, halfway down here, halfway down here, halfway down here, and it's centered at a point that's 1 unit away. So here's my center, and here are my edge lines. So halfway down each one of these. And now drawing this circle is a little challenging, but hopefully you can kind of get it close. And yes, I know my hand drawing is not nearly as nice, but at least you should sort of see the shapes. So you're going to do that on a couple of the pages. On page 73, or further on there, you're actually beginning drawing them from scratch without any sort of starting lines. And so what I'm going to do here is, first of all, let's take a look at this piece right here, which is 3 units long. And just arbitrarily choose some point over here and go 3 units. 1, 2, 3 units over here. Now from that, I need to go draw down 3 units down to this side. So counting a 3 again. Whoops, sorry. 1, 2, 3. That represents that line. 3 down this way. 1, 2, 3. Over here. 1, 2, 3. And let's complete this top face here. 1, 2, 3 that way. 1, 2, 3 that way. Now going down here, I've got to go down 2. So going down 2, 1, 2. And over here I go down 1, 1. Over here, I'm just going to work around this face. I go over 2 that way from this vertex. So 1, 2. Go up 1, and over 1, over 1. And, oh, I don't know what to do next. I guess maybe I could go ahead and do this face. Let's go down 3, 3 here. 1, 2, 3. And then I go forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units this way. I go over 2 this way. 1, 2. Out 1 this way. 1. Over 1 this way. 1. Up 2. Up 2. Back 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That connects that part. And now let's go ahead and put this line in right here from that same vertex. 1 over this way. 1 over this way. 2 down. 2 down. And let's complete this top part. 1, 2, 3 from that top vertex. 1, 2, 3 from here. Let's do this 2 right here. 1, 2 from the bottom here. 1, 2. And then from there, 1 down. 1 down. And you can sort of see this start to take shape here. We've got to finish off this piece right here. I'm going to go do the 2 from that vertex. 1, 2. And then the 2 over from this vertex. 1, 2. 1, 2. And then our last line, sorry, there's the bell again, is 1 line straight down this way. Yeah. Oops. And there it is without shading. I'll try shading real quick. I need to warn you, my pen skills here are not going to be great, although I can, let's see if I got any colors here. All right, I'll do the gray. So on this side here, I'm just going to do a crosshatch thin gray, just to kind of represent this side. So anything facing this direction is going to get this crosshatch. And then anything facing this side, I'm going to do a double crosshatch to make it a little bit darker. Speaking of which, if you need to be able to draw and you don't have a drawing program, you can always, if you've got PowerPoint, PowerPoint has a nice presentation mode, whereas you saw down here a moment ago, I could just go down and choose a pen. And I know if you don't have a pen, you can just use your touchpad to try to do the coloring. It'll work in the drawings. If you need me to, I may even put this entire worksheet into a PowerPoint so that you can draw on it there if you can't access the PDF or draw on the PDF. And there it is with shading. It's not beautiful because I hand drew it, but at least you can sort of visualize what it looks like in 3 dimensions. On page 76, you're going to be doing the same, or in this one, you're actually doing a little bit different. In this one, what you're doing here is actually recording the measurements on each of these objects. So they're saying that each square, isometric grid square, is equal to 1/4 of a US inch. And I apologize that it's not metric. But what you need to do on these is for every single direction, figure out exactly what the measurements are. So for example, from here to here, that goes through 1, 2 squares. So what are the dimensions along this axis right here, from here to here? Well, it's 2 times that, or 1/2 of an inch. This, of course, right here is going to be 1/4 of an inch, again, just because it's one grid square. This right here is going to be 1/4 of an inch. And this direction down here, from here to here, also 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to draw this up front simply because there's no room in the back. This is a total distance of 1, 2, 3 squares, so this is 3/4 of an inch. And what you're going to do here for each of these objects is identify all of the sides necessary to exactly define how big it is. Now this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can either write it, of course, as 5/4 of an inch, or you can write it as 1 1/4 inch, whichever you prefer. So you're going to do that, and for every single edge, you're going to identify the size. So you need to identify this length here, you'll need to identify this height here, this width here. Now that's a little tricky. Notice that that's 1 1/2 squares. So that means 1/4 plus 1/8, which ends up, if you do common denominator, 3/8 of an inch. You'll need to do this distance right here between here and here. This is actually 2 square lengths, 1 1/2 1/2. So this is going to be 1/2 of an inch again. And if you identify this distance here, we've identified the gap here. This is identical there. The only other missing dimension we have is this one right here, from here to here. We don't quite have that length yet either. And when you've done this, you've identified all of the dimensions of this object. You're going to do the same for each one of these other objects. So the width here, the height here, the width here. And please assume that they're being nice to you, that all of these dimensions are actually some multiple of 1/4 or something similar, so that none of this gets too confusing to you. And all of them are nicely square, so they hopefully won't be too bad, but it will take you a little bit of time. Towards the end of the packet is where you're going to be actually working on looking at a three-dimensional object and identify where each of these faces end up in the drawings. So if you were looking down from above at this object, where would face A be? Well, face A would be now 9 in the top view, so we put 9 here. From the top view, whoa, oh, okay. Oh, I see. And where's face A show up in the front view? Well, if you're looking at it now from this side here, the front, that would actually be up here. And that's why we put a 3 down over here. Finally, where would it be if you were looking at it from the side? In other words, looking at it from this side here, it would be number 21. It would be up on this top side right here. Let's do one more together just so you can sort of see it. Where is B? So now B is this piece right here. Let's do the easy one first. Where would B look like if we were looking at it from the side view, looking at right here? Well, it would be number 18. So we put 18 right here. If we're looking at the front view, looking at it from this side, where would this face be? Well, it wouldn't be here. That's G. It has to be number 8, looking at it from this side here. So from the front view, it would be number 8. Where would it be looking, if we were looking down from up above? Whoops, sorry, looking down. It wouldn't be here. It would be over here. It would be number 14. So your job in this next part of this worksheet is figuring out where each of the faces are on the different views and filling in this complete table where each of these faces appear in the various views. You also are going to be doing some of these views. So if you look at this object, we've got the top view here. It's already drawn from us if you're looking at it from the very top. And this is the view from this side looking this way, what you would see. And the question is, what we've got to draw down here is the view if we're looking at it from this side. And you might say, oh no, do I have to really hand draw that? Well, you can a little bit. So let's take a look at it. What would we see if we looked at it from this side? We'd see this line right here. And that would occupy the entire box, our little box that they drew here. And then we'd see this top edge go over a little bit. And we know it goes over, but how far? Well, here's where the beauty of isometric drawings come in. We can actually extend this line downward. And that's where this line's going to end up. And now we need to come down and do this part right here. And again, you might say, well, wait, how in the world am I supposed to know where that comes down to? Well, first of all, we know it's going to end, if we're looking down here, lined up with this line right here. But how far down do we go? And that's where the beauty comes in here. If we're looking at it from this side, this line right here is represented by this edge right here. And so if we extend that over as best as I can, it's going to look like that. So that corresponds now to this line right here. Now from there, we're going to see that the line goes straight down. So we extend this line downward. Again, please forgive my hand drawing. It's so much better with the ruler. The line at the bottom here, got that. And now we need to draw the rest of this piece over here. And you might say, well, wait a second, how do I draw this section right here? Well, this line going back, we won't actually even see this entire face right here. All we're going to do is see the rest of this face here. How far does it extend? Well, if we extend this line downward right here, we know that far edge is going to be along this line. But how far down does it go? Well, we can actually figure out this line right here based on this line right here. And if I extend it over, and this is where this really is important, I know that this edge right here, this piece right here, is going to be right here. Just within my box, going up that high. And I know from my perspective here, I'm just going to see this line along the same line as here. And then our final step is drawing a straight line between here and here. And believe it or not, this is the side view, looking from this direction, of what we would see here. We would just see these two darkened faces, this face here and this face here, drawn like this. And that should be a little straighter here, but you get the idea. And that should be a little straighter there. It would actually look just like this. And you might say, is this a hidden line, this one right here? Hey, we'd actually see it as an edge if you looked on this thing. So you really would catch that kind of thing. And that's the next part of the drawing. You should be able to sort of figure it out. It gets a little bit more exciting when you've got curves in it, but nothing too bad. What would this look like in this case if I was looking at it from this side here, drawing it down here? Well, you can sort of see we'd see this entire square bottom like this. So extending my line over here as best I can. Here's that bottom that I would see looking at it from this side. Pretend this is actually square. Oh, that's horrible. This is where I wish I had some isometric paper drawn here. And then we're going to see just a side view of this thing right here. And you might say, well, how tall is it? Well, it's going to be this height. So it's going to go all the way to the top. And the width of it is going to be one unit. If you look at it here from this top view, it's got a little bit of a gap in here. That represents the gap here. And this right here, this length, or this piece right here, represents looking down from above this piece right here. So that's the distance or the width of that thing. I'm going to estimate it here, assuming that that line's about the same length as that line, maybe a little bit more. And then that, I'm going to draw down here, represents what we would see if we looked at it, this edge from that side. And yes, I know it should be square, but I'm having a really tough time free drawing it without a ruler. Yeah. If you've got a ruler, you can try it on your trackpad and see if you can actually get it. I'm actually kind of curious. And then you've got a few that you're free drawing without isometric paper. But take a look at it. It's actually not too bad. You can count squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. And so you can just choose any spot on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. And let's draw try to draw the box that this thing's in. So now I know I got to go 2 down this way. Let's go try, I don't know which one to draw first. Let's go 2 down that way. And so I'm going to go diagonally across these two. 1, 2. And now I need to go diagonally up here on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drawing down the 2 over here again. Oops, 1, 2. And now connecting those 2 lines gives me that top. Now I need to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we should be able to connect those 2 through these diagonal points. And now here, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, 9 going diagonally. Oh, I hope I have enough room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whew. Whew. All right, and I go 2 up from there to draw this line right here. I guess I should have actually shaded this in as I went. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. 2 up, completing that first line, connecting this line, going through the diagonal, or diagonally for each of these squares. It's so much easier with isometric paper. And then this line here, going through the diagonals of each square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Close enough. And you've got your drawing. Notice it's not nearly as easy without isometric paper. I do like isometric paper doing these things. Here's another one, and I just want to sort of help you with it. You can start any point you want, but let's choose that point right there, and I'm just going to put it right here. So we go 1 unit over, 1 unit over, 1, 2 units over, 1, 2 units over, and I'm going to go ahead and complete this one right away. So now I've completed this. Now this other one starts 1, 2, 3 over. 1, 2, 3 over. And this again is a 1 by 2, so I'm going to go ahead and draw it in as well. Whoops. So that's this piece over here. This is 1 unit tall on each one of these sides, and then 2 across. 1 unit tall on each side, and 2 across. That completes that section. And then there's a line that connects over across here that represents part of a hidden surface. And now let's go do this front piece right here. So this goes down 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Goes across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Connects up with that top piece there. This goes down 1 here, 1 here, and then connects across here, the 3. Connects across with 3. Down this side, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we go forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up on top here we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that connects downward right there. Doing the same thing on the other side, we go 5 forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 2 down. And if you look over here, this is 1, 2 by 2. And the same thing on this other side, 2 by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those in. So 2 by 2 by 2, 2 by 2 by 2. And now this goes back in here 1, 2, 3 units. So 1, 2, 3 units connecting there, and 1, 2, 3 units connecting there, and then across there. And I guess I should take this line down here. It kind of represents the inside of this thing. And then a line going back here, again, like you're looking inside of it. And there is our object, not very well drawn, but again, you could do a little bit of shading on it to give it a little bit more three-dimensional shape. This object here, I think it's one of my last examples. Again, just choosing an arbitrary point, going up 3. 1, 2, 3, over 2. 1, 2, going up 2, 1, 2. Looks like I'm going across 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 2. Over 2. Down 3. 1, 2, 3. And over here I go down 1, up 1, across. I'll do the same thing over here. Up 1, and then across. I'm just going to connect that through. So here's the one face of this object. Back here I go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to connect that through. You notice I'm getting a little bit faster here. I assume at this point you're probably pretty comfortable drawing these objects. Over 2, completing this edge here, completing this edge here. And just continue these lines so you can sort of see it inside there. Here's our object. Again, adding shading to it will make it a little bit nicer looking. Oh, okay. Yep, I thought I was almost done. All right, really last one. I'm going to start this corner right here, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 crossed. 1, 2, 3, 4 crossed. Down, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the top, I go forward 2. And now from here to here, I've got to connect. And now without a straight edge, this is going to be a painful part. I need to try to hit these two lines. Oh, not bad. Over here, go across 2. Up on top here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That goes over 2, comes back here to connect. Over here on this face, I'm going to cheat a little bit. 1, 2, and then 3 down. 1, 2, and then 3 down. Takes me here. So this other face needs to connect down to here with my best attempt at drawing. This goes 3 down, across there. That completes that part. This one goes over 2 and then connects back over here. And then my last line, hopefully parallel to the other one, pretty close, goes there. And we've got our object, and you could do a little bit color tracing in here just to make it look a little bit nicer, but you've got it. All right, give the packet a shot. Hopefully you'll be able to manage with it. And also start downloading AutoCAD 2020. You can do the trial version for 30 days, but if you license it with the school's license key, you'll actually have it licensed for 3 years, which is really quite nice for a very expensive piece of software. It's the educational license, but it's the full version of the software, which makes it really, really nice. Have a good night. I'll make a Dropbox for you to submit this later, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.